Greetings, everyone. I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion, as you can tell from the title. Once again, going through the episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond, Season 7. We're now on Episode 2, Counseling. This is another one of those episodes that had the Phil and Ray commentary, and they're joined by the writer of this week's episode, Mike Royce, who, of course, went on to do other stuff, like being the executive producer on a certain other comedian show, which they do mention in the commentary, by the way. So that's why a lot of these commentaries are interesting. You go back and be like, okay, so that's what happened. And this episode deals with something that a lot of relationships at one point or another either consider or have to go through in order to figure out one little thing. And they do joke about it in the commentary and in the episode, obviously. And the commentary does give an explanation for where it came from. That, of course, is marriage counseling. Hence the name of the title, Counseling. Before I get too far into it, just a reminder, if you want to support the channel, both the Patreon and PayPal links are down below. If you want to go the one-off route, you can go the PayPal route, which will you do one-off support, one-off request. If you do want to continuously support the channel, gain access to videos early, or be able to suggest topics for future videos, including stuff with 3 she-shells, go the Patreon route. Either way, your support is appreciated. Now, counseling, this is another one of those episodes I saw randomly one day, one night in syndication. I don't remember when. Hey, sorry, Odie's sniffing at something. I just remember seeing it there. Now, episode is very Ray and Debra centric for obvious reasons, but they do bring in the other characters at the appropriate moments, and we even get a couple other buddies as the catalyst for why they go to counseling, and that would be Linda and Bernie. Plot begins. Ray and Debra are in the main room. Ray's trying to chill, and Debra is cleaning like a woman possessed. And she starts scolding Ray, like wanting him to shampoo the rug and do a lot of other cleaning. And Ray is like, you always do this every time someone comes over. You make the fake house. And Deborah's like, this is not the fake house. This is the way it should be all the time. Now, in this sentiment, I see both sides. Deborah's right. The house should be super clean like that. However, I do agree with Ray that the point is like, if you do this every time someone's coming in, it is kind of a fake house. Because even if the house should be that clean, it's not for obvious reasons. And stuff like shampoo the rug, it's a little extreme for when guests are just coming over for a nice dinner you're going to have. Shampoo the rug. Now, Debra wanting him to help, I get. So Ray acting like his typical man-child self that we see and be like, I don't see the need. I definitely get why Deborah's very upset. Then we go into the dinner. They're talking with Linda and Bernie. You know, they haven't seen them in a while because, you know, they had kids, and you got to cut back a little bit on your social life once that happens. You know, they start listening to them. Bernie and Linda are like nitpicking at each other, and then they slowly break down and communicate a little bit better, and they mention someone named Pamela. And this gets Deborah's interest, where she's like, what? And they explain that they thought that it'd be best, because they were fighting all the time, to take these fights to a neutral third party. And I love Bernie's little one-liner here. I've actually won a couple of them now. And like, that's not the point. The point is we're actually being able to talk it out. And as they're explaining this, you can see the wheels turning in both Debra and Ray's heads. Debra's like, marriage counseling, this sounds something like we need. And Ray's like, no. Thinking no. And when we get to a scene up in their bedroom, Ray's like, I don't want to go to counseling. And Debra's all talking with him, and then she's like, I scheduled an appointment for that. Now, I definitely get why Debra thinks they need counseling. But her making a unilateral decision doesn't really sound, you know, all-togetherness. Now, we all know that there's no other way Ray's going to be able to be going there, but it's one of those things that, like, another example of Debra making a unilateral decision for the relationship without consulting Ray first or getting his input on it. We've seen a lot of ones, which is why I said in real life, by this point in the marriage, it probably would have dissolved or would be towards dissolving because of the fact that she does feel a little emotional abusive, but that's in real life, not the sitcom world. And as I say, sitcom writing and suspension of disbelief. And then, of course, the thing I mentioned before, comedy, you gotta have friction. So it's one of those things like, yeah, in real world wouldn't go, but in the show, yeah, it works. That's why I spitball, and I'd love to see like a dark sitcom, but probably not. Anyway, they go to talk with Pam. Debra, you can tell she's laying a lot of her frustrations down. And as she is, and as Pamela's talking, I love the way that Ray Romano plays this, because you can tell that he's like, I don't want to be here. I hate this. How the hell do I get out of this? And then he starts agreeing with what Debra's saying, like, you're right. You know, it's giving examples of why he's thoughtless. Although he does get a couple funny one-liners in earlier, like when they mentioned the one time he went for golf, he's like, yeah, I remember this as he scored of 92 or something like that. They actually mentioned that one-liner in the commentary, so that was nice. And as Ray starts to actually act more ideal, Debra's like, this is not the real him. Pamela's not Pamela, if she's falling for it or not. She gives no indication of it. And she keeps letting the session go on and on. And when they get home, you already know Debra's going to be mad. And Ray, his excuse is like, well, I spent the entire session trying to tell you I'm sorry. No, you weren't, Ray. You can try to tell her that to her face, but she knows it, and we in the audience know you were not spending that thing just saying sorry. You were doing one of those fake sorries like Marie usually does. That's fake nice. That's your mom, as Debra says in another episode. And, of course, when they get in there and they get into this little tiff, the rest of the adult barones are there because the kids are up in bed, so Frank, Marie, and Robert are there. And they're all listening to this, and Frank has one of my favorite one-liners of the episode here. Whoa, the counseling doesn't seem to be working. I just love the way Peter Boyle says this. And even though I believe I mentioned it in past episodes that this is the season where you can definitely tell that Peter is starting to lose his energy, probably because of his past issues. At this point in the season, he still has energy. I mean, I got the box over there. But the first episode, off the top of my head, I remember where you can notice it is Grandpa Steele's, which I think is not until like disc 2 or disc 3. It's a little bit later on. That was another one I saw in syndication. This early on, he still has the energy, so yeah, once we get to that changeover proper, if it's before that episode, we'll note it. He has some other good ones, like saying, like, I don't know why you guys need counseling. He's the one that needs it, and points at Robert. Well, thanks to Marie, they all decide to sit down and hash things out. They're talking back and forth about the counseling session, about what they think the problems are. And, of course, you know, when they mention shampoo in the rug, you already know where Marie's going to go with this, because she always is like that. And Ray mentioning, you know, what he sees in a partner. He wants someone to take care of him and all that, and make sure his needs are met. And Debra shoots back, that's not a wife, that's a mother. And without thinking, letting his mouth run away before his brain catches up, Ray's like, well, maybe that's what I want. And everyone stops. And this gets a good holy crap from Frank. And, of course, at this point, they're like, yeah, maybe we don't need any more counseling. I think some things are better left undiscovered. And they go up top. And even though Marie had told Robert to shut up earlier with a different point, she doesn't say a peep here, even though she's a little bit like, Raymond. You know, his little Oedipus thing there. He's like, you want mommy to tuck you in? That's said by Robert. Frank just is like, holy crap. Now, a little epilogue moment for this one is good. It's the next morning. Ray and Debra talked it out on screen. He's down there eating some breakfast. Robert comes in and he's like, yeah, you know, it's a good thing you guys went to counseling. You know, you noticed you guys had a problem. You tried to do it. Maybe I should have done that with my marriage. And also with your relationship with Amy, apparently. Well, to add to the whole Oedipus thing, you know what he does? He brings in a cardboard cutout of a bride with Marie's head. And I love what he says. Enjoy, you sick bastard. In the commentary, they mentioned they don't think they would have been able to get away with this, but it's only a couple years after the episode was made. They should have been able to get away with it. They'd probably still be able to get away with it today. I know some people be like, no, it'd be canceled. No, it wouldn't. they're making fun of Ray as a character with this. In fact, they'd probably be encouraged more. And that's the end of it. Like some of the best pieces of art, this episode's genesis lies in real life, and specifically between two different incidents that Ray and the writer mentioned in the commentary. One of them was when Mike and his wife were having a little argument, and their friends brought up marriage counseling. And the way they describe it on the commentary track is that it more or less went, at least in front of their friends, went like how it was up until Ray goes, I don't want to go to counseling. Obviously volume turned down a little bit. But instead of that, he's like, so I guess we're going to counseling? And she's like, yeah, his wife. And they didn't go to it. And then the other one looks like it's something from Phil and Monica's relationship. I didn't put a note on what part after that was, other than them having to do counseling, because it's not as funny to discuss than the writer's one. But it's like, hey, some of this stuff works. That's why I remember in, I think it was Reader's Digest, Ray mentioning in an interview right before the last season that there'd be a time in this show when him and his wife would get into an argument and be like, I better not see this on TV. And he'd be like, well, you like that pool out there. The pool doesn't pay for itself. Which is true. Oh, no, this is a pretty fun episode. I do like that Royce drew from real life for this one. Definitely makes the back and forth between the characters feel more natural, more legitimate. And, of course, with us having watched these characters for so long, we do understand what they're thinking and where they're coming from. And, of course, nice to see Linda and Bernie again, even though if you pay close attention, you're like, wait a minute. They mentioned I had Benjamin before. Now, what's this daughter? Is this a new one? They never clarify in the dialogue. And, of course, everyone reacting to the different things that are brought up post-counseling. And, of course, Nancy Lenehan is the one that plays Pamela, which I'm checking to see what else she has been involved with. Waitress in the Great Outdoors. She played Linda in Sex Tape. Carol Strong, You Catch Me If You Can. So, she was in an episode of Gracie and Frankie. That's a show my grandma was watching. There's a lot of other stuff here. So, working character actress, it looks like. And she does a pretty good job here. And all in all, just another fun episode to watch. I don't know with this rewatch where it will rank. I definitely see why they did the commentary for it. Sadly, no deleted scenes to talk about, so everything got up on there. It was just like little bits they decided not to put in there. Definitely comes with my recommendation. I know you've heard that a lot by now, but there's a lot of good episodes in this show. Now, the next episode is going to be one that I identified with the kids portion of the plot when I first saw it, because I was at that age. 20 years ago, going from middle school and then into high school. But as an adult, even though I don't have children of my own yet, I'm probably going to start identifying a little bit more with Ray in this one and be able to finally see both sides. And of course, it's an episode dealing with the kids getting too much homework. Till next time, guys.